Hello everyone, this is Skylit Lake reading Super Science by That Chicken Dude. Chapter 31. A new problem, a different solution. Okay people, Egon stated as he slapped the meeting table that he and the entire staff of NIP were all sitting around. Now I'm sure you all know why I've called you here today, he asked them rhetorically. Because it's your birthday? Izuku asked innocently. No. Is it my birthday? Asked Hokkaido. No. Are we getting a raise? Genus asked hopefully. No. You're going to give me full and unrestricted access to the Singularity Soul? Hatsume exclaimed in excitement. No. You finally got a girlfriend at 30? Cho asked while slapping the table as Orpington clucked a laugh. Are we gonna do this? Egon asked back, already done with this whole charade. Then Honey Lemon spoke up and asked cautiously, does it have to do with the fact that we were attacked and very underprepared, only getting out of it by the skin of our teeth due to our adversaries not doing their homework on us? The massive damages accrued by the said attacks? Or the rapidly developing dragon we have stored? Egon sighs as he runs his nose and answers back, yes, on all fronts, going in no order, although the damages we faced were rather extravagant. We are more than capable to fix them thanks to our funds and the ones provided by UA as a sorry/donation. On the other hand, if this event has taught us anything, it's that we are sourly underprepared for what's to come. We're working with tech and knowledge that I'm sure countries will go to war for. So, we have to outfit the facility with all the measures of a small country's worth of military protection. So that is why I want all of you to be firing on all cylinders to make this place as secure as possible. This is a top priority. I'm talking about new tech, security codes, defenses, force fields, anti-warp, quirk generators, literally anything you can think or make to get this place as safe and as secure as possible, he exclaimed. Yes, sir, everyone around the table replied in unison. And the dragon? Odo inquired. Ah, yes, him, Egon said with a huff before stressing. Little Torchwick isn't so little anymore. I liked him better when he was the size of a parrot, Orpington squawked in a complaint. So you could bully him? Otto chastised her. He tried to eat me, she fought back. Once and only once, Otto corrected her as she tried to peck at his new-grown tentacles. We still haven't fully determined how big he'll grow, and I don't think we can continue increasing the size of the enclosure. Heck, I don't think such a thing would exist, especially alongside the fact that he can fly. And we just can't let him go galvanting off wherever he wants, Joe added. And no country in the world is gonna let us keep a dragon on their soil without wanting to know the details, Hollyhock says. I hate to say it, but we may have to terminate him, Genus admits with a somber tone. Izuku looks down at the table, tightening his fists as his tears wells up in his eyes as he says back, I hate to say it, but you might be right. Not really, Hollyhock interjects. All eyes fall on the smiling woman as Egon asks her, You have an idea, Hollyhock? She nods and tells the group, More of a working theory. You remember when you gave me a piece of the Singularity Soul? What? Hatsume suddenly exclaimed, making everyone look at him. You gave her a piece of it, but are forbidding me? He complained. Egon slaps his face and tells him, Hollyhock has her head screwed on the right and doesn't want to make a death ray with it. But why can't I make a death ray? He whines like a child. Because I say so, Egon yells at him, causing the man to sit down with a sulk After calming himself down and pushing back his hair, Egon turned back and says, "Continue, Palm." "Well, I took a small sample from the piece and I managed to make a little something I like to call the reset bomb," she explained to them. "Reset bomb? What's that?" Egon and Izuku says at the same time. She then pulls out a folder and opens up to a picture of something strange looking. It appears like a small machine on the verge of breaking to pieces, but held up and enwrapped by vines, roots, leaves, and other plant life, with a glow at the center of it illuminating like a flame. When this little device hits any soil, it'll instantly shoot back up an entire forest of indigenous plant life, almost like if humans never cultivated it, she exclaimed to the group, making Izuku and Egon drop their jaws. "If I can make one big enough, tweak it a bit, and send it to the bottom of the ocean, I could potentially make an island that the dragon could live on, alongside any other animals or plants that can't be brought into the public and we can't bring ourselves to terminate or keep," she explained her idea. Egon shoots up from his seat and exclaimed, "Hollyhock, you're beautiful." She then looked saddened and a serious time as she told him, "Don't thank me yet, there's just one problem with it." Everyone looks at her confused by the comment until she tells them, "I have no idea how or where to test it." Egon slumps back in his seat, deep in thought as he thought aloud, "That is a good point. Where in all of Japan could we use the reset bomb?" As everyone was pondering on how to remedy this problem, a thought struck Izuku, and he pronounced, "I think I have just the thing." Later, "You know, Izuku, I'll be honest, I didn't think you meant here of all places," Egon told Izuku through the built-in speaker on his high-concentration radiation suit. "Seriously? What were you expecting?" Izuku asked back through his suit, as he and Hollyhock set up and what looked like a giant mechanical slingshot. Izuku set the machine into place as the woman punched in coordinates on a device connected to it. Egon shrugged and then irritatedly said back rhetorically, "I don't know, one of the several illegal logging sites in Japan? Just not Hokkaido," he stressed while motioning to the dead zone a few yards away from them. Dead trees, poisonous soil, and cracked ground that looked dry and mucky were just a few of the wasteland sites starched out before the once prosperous northern part of Japan that was once a hub for new and improved nuclear energy. But that's why it's perfect. If the reset bomb can turn an environment back to before it was inhabited, then testing to see if it can destroy radioactive isotopes is just what we need, Izuku exclaimed in excitement. "I have to agree with him. It's genius." Hollyhock agreed. "Pam, I'm trying to be the voice of reason here. This place is a second Chernobyl. The isotopes here are so powerful that even with cleanup, this place will be unsafe for the next 3,000 years, he exclaimed in a half yell, getting two sets of vastly different reactions to his outbursts, making the man deflate as he told them, "You better hope this reset bomb is as powerful as you say it is." After this, the coordinates were locked on and each reset bomb was primed and ready. Egon had the pleasure of launching them and ended up laughing like a child the whole time, much to the amusement of the other scientists. Izuku looks at the screen he was holding and said, "All right, 12 have been deployed." Egon lay on the ground of the large flatbed vehicle they were riding on. He was out of breath from laughing and said with a red flushed face, "Gotta say, launching highly dangerous eco-bombs from a high-tech slingshot is a lot of fun." Eventually, he got up. After calming down, he asked, "How long till they take effect?" "They should start as soon as they hit the soil," Hollyhock answered. Professor," Izuku called, making Egon walk up to him as the teen continued. The isotopes have gone down. Already? How far down? He asked as he looked over his shoulder at the isotope reader in his hand. His eyes went wide as it read virtually nothing, and asking while snatching the device and poking it, "Is this thing broken?" "No, this is it," Izuku affirmed. Soon, the three scientists were brought to the attention of a very strange noise. They looked out into the distance and saw all the plant life begin to resurrect from this rotten, poisonous death. All around and far into the distance, they saw trees and flowers sprout and bloom up in huge groves and thick canopies. With eyes wide and isotope reader drop, Egon could only whisper, "Oh my God," before spreading his arms and proclaiming, "It worked! It worked! It worked!" The man began to jump around for joy as Izuku hugged Hollyhock and told her, "Your invention did it, Pamela." Pamela couldn't help but smile and look on at her work. But before they could continue, Izuku suddenly exclaimed, "Wait." The two scientists looked at the teen as he asked the woman, "Do you have more?" "Even more later. And that does it. The entirety of Hokkaido is now radioactive free," Izuku told the scientist as he looked at his screen map of the subsection of Japan and the isotope reader. All around them was a sea of new plant life and no harmful radiation. With no fear of mutation from radiation poisoning, they took off their suits and tossed them out to the side as they breathed in the new air of a long-gone place. And a new forest is growing on top of it all. At least that means there's plenty of building materials, Egon said in a chipper tone while picking some wild fruit of one of the trees. "Hollyhock, I hope you're proud. You just reopened an entire region of Japan for those who'd lost their home," Izuku congratulated the woman. "I'm happy to have done my part for the community," Hollyhock says with a smile at feeling the plants around her singing her praises for giving them life. "That's all well and good, but I suppose we beat feet out here before the government catches wind of the fact their cesspool of a catastrophe is now safe for human life," Egon told them while packing the fruit and jumping in the driver's seat. Hollyhock took up the passenger side and Izuku in the back as the tall man kicked their flatbed into a four-wheel drive to go over the newly roughed-out terrain. As they drive out of the forest, Hollyhock spoke to Egon and asked him, "That brings up something I didn't get a chance at the meeting. What are we going to do when our body of government overlords catch wind of what we're doing, and you know they will?" "Well, we'll set up a meeting, establish ground rules, then go public, and from there we'll be able to do more stuff," Izuku assured her. "Like making a new island for one dragon," she commented back while raising an eyebrow. Izuku smiled with thumbs up and answered, "That's the plan." Chapter 32. Big Brother / Sister? Back in Japan, at the National Diet, where the Prime Minister presided, an elderly yet stern-looking woman was sitting at a table and eating a large Japanese-style breakfast while watching the news on her phone while skimming through the political section of a newspaper. Suddenly, her large office doors were slammed open and a young man with a worn and ragged look burst in while running at top speed as he breathlessly ran to her. Prime Minister, important news!" the man practically yelled, with a panicked look in his eyes. Not even dazed by the scene, the woman continues to eat and read while saying nonchalantly, "What is it, Ryu? I'm in the middle of breakfast." It's Hokkaido, ma'am," he tells her in a hurried tone. "It's a nuclear wasteland, Ryu. What about it?" she says while looking down at her paper to roll her eyes as she changes channels on her phone. It's not, he says vaguely. Confused and shocked, the Prime Minister puts down her paper to look at the young man and ask him, "What?" Taking a deep breath, the man exclaimed, "The science department just came with a report of the isotope levels in Hokkaido suddenly dropping. It is safe for human habitation again." He placed a folder on the table and opened it up. The Prime Minister took the folder and looked over the files within. After skimming through everything, her face growing ever more shocked, she finally put them down, took a sip of tea, crossed her bony fingers and thought. "I don't believe it. How did this happen?" she asked in a soft voice. "It may have something to do with the dense forest that sprouted up overnight," Ria offered. The Prime Minister snapped her old head towards him and shooting him a look, she stated seriously, "Are you going off an ecological miracle for an answer?" He shrugged, then counter-offered, "Well, we also think that it may have to do with this place." Saying that, he flipped through a few more pages in the folder, which brought up information about the Neo Icon Phoenix Research Facility, a picture of it, alongside of a picture of Egon and Izuku. Narrowing her eyes at the photo, she said without looking up, "Call them up and set a meeting." When Egon got a call from the Prime Minister herself, seeking an audience, he was unsurprised but still nervous. Sure, he expected it to happen at some point, and even very soon. But he couldn't hold back his feelings, so he and Izuku got ready for the day that she came, even though they didn't have to get ready since they'd been prepping for it in advance. So it's all a matter about refresher and figuring out what to say. So the day comes and the two scientists find themselves in their meeting room with the head of government in Japan, an elderly lady who has shown years of experience, grey hair, crinkles, yet sharp eye, and even sharper grimace. She was a force to be reckoned with. However, they had the ball in their court. So, there they sat, drinking tea in silence for the first few minutes. "So, Madam Prime Minister, enjoying your tea?" Egon inquired, and she said nothing in return, drumming his fingers to give off the sense he was nervous. He followed up, "I was wondering when you'd call. I suppose late is better than never." She took another sip of her tea before saying, "After your most achievement and many others hidden in the dark, your laboratory was brought to the forefront of my attention." "Well, we did save Hokkaido and you billions in cleanup. Now all that money can go towards rebuilding," Izuku argued back. Sending him a hard glare, she retorted, "I didn't come to thank you for that or talk to a child." Egon clenched his crossed hands at the comment, trying to keep his cool, and calmly told her, "With all due respect, madam, here's the whole reason NIP exists. Without him, Hokkaido would still be a wasteland, so I suggest you respect him for that much at the very least. He may be young, but even I admit he is far smarter than me." The Prime Minister looked between the man and the broccoli boy before sighing and saying, "Very well." She then waved one of her guards. They brought out a huge stack of papers, when she told them, "Now, onto the topic of business. Sign here and—" No, we won't be doing anything like that, madam." Izuku quickly shut her down, making her glare harshly at him. "I beg your pardon?" she asked back with a calmly sharp tone. "No offense, but Nip will not be one of your lapdogs, held under your thumb, and many restrictions," Izuku exclaimed to her. Egon chimed in and added, "Without even a single bit of help from any government funding or inclusion, we were able to build this place from the ground up and won't be needing it now. She narrows her eyes at the men while tightening her hand around the pens and telling them, I hope you realize what you're doing is illegal. Both men resist the urge to laugh while Egon informs her, we have plenty of certifications notarized and accepted by the government with your seal of approval, a fact that makes the Prime Minister scowl at herself. While I admit we were trespassing on government property, it was also uninhabited and we made it habitable. Egon argues back nicely. The Prime Minister opens up her mouth to argue back with him, but Izuku cuts her off as politely as he can and tells her, Madam Prime Minister, let's just stop you right there. We're not going to judge unless you want to go in circles all day. And if you want to do a court battle, I can give you the card of 17 law firms we hired. He then gets a text on his phone, reads it, widens his eyes, and corrects himself. Oh, sorry, now it's 21 law firms. The Prime Minister takes a long drawn-out breath, and after calming herself down, taking the same neutral stern expression, she asks them, What do you want then? The two men smile at seeing her surrender, and Izuku tells her, In essence, we just want to be left alone. However, in return for this, you'll be the first one to know about every invention, weapon, or creature we make here and have first dibs on it, even before the public knows of it. If you want to buy it, then buy as much or as little as you want. Sounds good? She raises an eyebrow and asks back, So you want to be secretive and have an open trade? Sounds rather suspicious. I won't know everything you're doing or for what reasons. We have all secrets, madam. Us with Nip and you with Hokkaido. Egon says with a knowing hum in his voice that makes the woman try her best to hide any expression. The man then continued and told her, As for our reasons, it is for the good of humankind and science. We have no ill intent, and even if we did, we are not at a state where we can easily defend ourselves against you. The Prime Minister closes her eyes and sits there in deep thought for a while, after which she takes her tea glass, finishes it up, and smacks her lip, telling them, Very well, you men have a deal. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed these chapters. I'm currently bulk recording like 6 chapters of the Super Science series, so my voice is slowly going to degrade as the more videos come out, but it's just a new style I'm trying just to see how, if it's effective. Like, I'm going to be bulk recording, bulk editing, but slowly letting it stream out. That way I have time to prepare and like enough time for my daily life. Like, I really like a really rigid schedule. That's just the person I am. Also, just love how Hokkaido is a nuclear waste zone. Like in the a canon MHA, it seems like the land is untouched, but like it's been 200 years. And quirks, have you seen All Might? Imagine like something half his strength, like indestructiveness. It would be insane. Like something that causes runaway nuclear fission. That would be insane. Like how much damage it could do. Maybe that's what happened to Hokkaido, but like still, I like it when fan fictions like put in new lands and areas and make them, unique and have actual history behind them. I remember listening to one Podfic where there was this one island or area, I don't really remember which one, but they had a quirk tree, and basically the inhabitants lived there in peace because the quirk tree was like keeping them all safe and stuff, which is like fascinating. But I lost fanfic and I don't know where it is. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Bye.